Welcome, Professional Rookies Podcast. I'm your host, Rini Angolia, along with my side. Can I call you sidekick?
Call me whatever you
People
want.
think I pick on you, but the one, the only, Brian Ferreira. Beef. Beef does a little dance whenever the music for the opening plays. Same dance, always makes me chuckle, and I need it today. My butt's dragging, man. It's been a long week. A lot of stuff going on personally, not in a bad way, but just busy. So I am dragging. I'm trying to get going today on this Monday. You'll be listening to this on Tuesday, most of you.
Sounds like somebody's got a case of the Mondays.
It's just busy. A lot going on. But how was your week?
Good. Can you watch me? I keep saying so it's like I'll never forget or
Told
whatever.
you, make notes.
Yeah,
Make notes.
The Rangers lost yesterday, so let's talk about that. They lost.
How about they're up 2-1?
They are, and they were flying the first two games. I think it was kind of home field advantage. They were at the Garden and
Or home ice, but field. You can call it a field.
whatever.
Someone will make fun of you.
It's a term.
Someone will text me. Beef said field for hockey.
Yeah, they looked like they were dragging a little bit yesterday, but I still can't be upset with them. So
Listen, I said it before. I love playoff
yeah.
hockey. It's the most, even if you're not like I'm not the biggest hockey fan. I understand it. I grew up in Rochester, New York.
You
We
have
have
to,
a AHL team there, the Rochester Americans, the Amerks. So I always went to hockey games growing up. So I have a good understanding of the game. I enjoy the game. I usually don't get into NHL during the regular season, but boy, playoff hockey, it's always on.
right. Yeah, and I find myself jumping up and down. The Rangers score. It was 2-1 yesterday. Well, actually, what they wound up, it was up. They were up 2-1. They wound up losing, I think, 3-2.
And at the end of the game.
Yeah.
I mean, Tampa Bay scored at
Yeah.
the end of the game.
But
Lightning are good.
Joey's looking at me like I had something wrong with me. I'm clapping and yelling at the TV and stuff. And for anybody who wants to question my fandom towards the Rangers, I can say that I went to the Tinker Tape Parade when they won the Stanley Cup in, remember? 1994, I believe it was. So I was in New York. I actually called in sick for work
Your
that day.
fandom.
Yeah, so I am a fan. I'm not a fair weather fan, and go Rangers. But everything else is good. Nothing crazy. Work was work.
You look good. Work's good.
Yeah, I look good. Yeah,
I'm being nice
Listen,
to you. What the hell?
You're being nice. I appreciate it. It's kind of. I look like crap. Let's be real,
Were you going to make fun of me of my...
Well, I was going to say, we're sitting there, and then what pops up? Hey, Facebook, here's a shirtless picture of Rini. This is just what I needed, Yeah, thanks.
I said in the show last week that I was going to be that guy. So
you were?
Around 111 days, I worked out. I made a concerted effort, and I'm not...
That's the best you could do in 111 days.
Thanks. So listen, on social media... yeah, and I do have farmer tan, whatever, call it golf tan, whatever. I can't really call it a golf tan because I haven't golfed in ages. But I said, what the hell? It was more for like motivation so people could say, man, he's 50. He's making an effort to get better. And really, honestly, Beef, it was really, I was dragging mentally more than anything because it does.
You get tired, yeah.
Your body.
You get worn out.
You do. And so for me, and everyone works a little different. For me, when I exercise, one, it helps my diet in that when you exercise, I want to eat better. And at my age now, I find I get heartburn a lot, and it's so annoying. Yeah. So when I work out, it takes that away. I'm eating better, and then just mentally, I just feel better. So it was kind of an all-encompassing thing. So I wanted to do the photo. So yeah, a lot of all positive feedback, some ball busting, which is totally good. Yes, I've been to the dermatologist. For those that have seen the picture, I have a lot of what my mom calls beauty marks, a lot of moles. So it is what it is. Yeah. So I'm going to start a new workout today. Okay. I told you that. I took a week off last week, but start a new, because it really is. It's a habit. It's habit forming when you
35 days or something.
Really, anything you do. Yeah. You want to get good at it, you got to really form that habit. So, I miss not working out. So, yeah, I'll get going today. But, yeah, that was so I'm going to be this guy and put these photos on. So
I have a habit. It's called eating.
So
a lot.
Listen, I love to eat as much as anyone. You just...
I was joking. I said, your before and after... My before and after is the opposite of your before and after. I was skinny, now I'm fat. So, it's like... But... Short and fat is no way to go through. Fat, dumb, and stupid is no way to go through life.
0 0.0.
You got the movie quote.
That is the best movie.
You threw
Animal
up
House.
on the Dean. Anyway.
Last week we did the Memorial Day show, and where we honored athletes that, gave the ultimate sacrifice for our country. And so got some good listens on that. I thought it was appropriate to do that last week. And so it was a good show. Beef's already telling me during Halloween he wants to do something with athletes and ghosts and spirits. So I said, all right, when we get to Halloween, we'll do that.
Do you watch these shows?
I do not.
Okay, so
I've seen them.
So Jeannie,
the paranormal
Jeannie,
shows. I watched the Bigfoot shows. My wife thinks I'm crazy.
Bigfoot exists as far as I'm concerned. But Jeannie, I'll come downstairs and Jeannie be watching this like Ghost Adventures or Ghost whatever the hell it is, and I'm like, you watch this stuff, it makes me laugh because there'll be a camera shot of these two people, and then all of a sudden off camera you hear some noise and like, oh my god, what was that? And it's like, well, it's probably the camera guy throwing something, to make come on. So maybe we could throw that out there to the listening audience. Maybe we'll do a little Twitter to do ghosts exist or not, and see if. But that's for later on down the year. I think October would be a good time for that. But the idea popped in my head last night. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, he called me up. You're all excited. Okay.
I want to contribute.
But this week's show, because recently in the news, there's been a couple incidents with athletes. Kind of, I don't want to say they were attacking citizens because, in the one case, the guy deserved it. But you saw the video recently where Mike Tyson basically beat the crap out of the guy behind him on a plane. And then there was another one, a football player, Brendan Langley, who had a short career, much like me in the NFL, and then is in Canada now, got into a fight. Both these obviously were video recorded, so you can go online and Google it, and TMZ, I think, has both of them. Well, Langley got into it with an airport employee up in Newark. So because of those two cases, we did some research and said, let's do this show. This week's show will be When Athletes Attack. I thought it was catchy. Well, and again, they attack, but sometimes it's in self-defense. They're not all charged. So there's a ton of cases out there, a ton of incidents. So we picked out a couple to go with the two that we just mentioned, but we're going to go through those two that kind of spurred us to do this show.
And we're trying some new stuff out with our soundboard and everything. Well, I am.
You are.
I am, yeah. So bear with us. This idea came to light because I thought it'd be hilarious if Rini could do kind of a play-by-play on the blow-by-blow.
So Beef wants to play some of the video, so you'll hear some of the audio.
Yeah, and just it. Normally we're okay. We say, I think shit's the worst thing we say, but I think we're going to come out with, there's going to be some explicit language.
There might be some explicit language, so here's your warning. Yes. Some of it's beeped out, I think.
Be ready.
So what are we playing first? Set it up.
Which one do you want to do first? You want to do Tyson?
Let's do Tyson
first.
Let's
do Tyson. All right.
So set it up first, so people that don't know, which most, I think if you're listening,
doesn't.
Well, if you're listening to this pod, you probably know about this, but you may not.
So for anybody who doesn't know, Mike Tyson is probably one of the most hellacious punch throwers that's ever existed. He just watching him, your body hurts when you see him hit people.
I thought he was just an actor from The Hangover.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, Mike Tyson, he still got it. So obviously his career he's been retired for a while, and he's on a flight from San Francisco to Fort Lauderdale in April.
Of course, he's going to Florida,
right? Fort Lauderdale. And, well, yeah, the guy, it's Florida man, and this guy decides he wants to have a picture with Tyson. So Tyson takes a picture with him. Not enough though. Not enough. Did you ever hear the Darwin Awards?
I have not.
I think this guy's going to be an honorable mention here. So, obviously drinking has something to do with this, I would think, and there may be some mention about mushrooms.
Well, it's funny you mention that because every case that we're going to talk about in this podcast today that I looked up, alcohol's involved in every single one.
Alcohol is a wonderful thing. So he's on this flight, and the video kind of picks up with, I guess, one of his, you could tell they're in first class, and one of his buddies must be across the way.
I don't even know if it's a buddy. I just think it's a person flying that's filming this guy and filming Tyson. It's like front row seats to a Tyson fight, right? So he's videoing this guy, and the guy starts going at Tyson, and when we watch the video, it's going to be hilarious because he cuts away from the video and then it comes back and Tyson's just wailing on him. So, but yeah, so Tyson asked him basically leave me alone after he took some selfies. Correct. At first, Tyson was nice to him, right?
He tried,
took some selfies with him and was polite.
Yeah. And then the guy threw a bottle of water at him, and Tyson is talking about how his wife. You talk about he's got more money than he knows what to do with, right? Well, I don't know if he still does or not. Do you take commercial or do you take a private flight at that point?
And he said his wife gets mad.
His wife got mad at him. Right. So we'll see it on the video, but for people that are listening to us and there's no video, but Tyson's wailing on him, and then the video comes back and the guy's sitting there with this dumb look on his face. Well, and he's all bloodied up on the forehead.
If you're gonna get beer muscles with someone, I would suggest Tyson's probably not one of the guys you'd want to get beer muscles with.
What did you think?
And like people get stupid, they get beer muscles at a bar or whatever with someone they don't know.
Yeah.
And okay, you don't know him, so you know, taking a shot like, I could take this guy. Like, you know Mike Tyson, right? You know who the person is.
Let's not do this.
Why are you going to keep busting his balls?
Right.
So
I don't know what's going through this guy's head, but apparently he knew. Like, I guess when he sobered up, he knew, because again, we kind of talk about the law enforcement angle of this.
Yes.
And here's our law enforcement perspective. When a fight happens, we will ask the people that are involved, you know, do you want to press charges or not? If both sides say they don't want to press charges, then everybody goes their own separate way, and that's it. In this case, go ahead. We're going to say.
No, he did the right thing. As dopey and idiotic as the guy was to get beat up, he deserved it, but he also did the right thing, and he's like, I'm not pressing charges because I started this thing. And for those that are wondering, so when a incident like that happens in the air, the agent, because I worked at the airport, so I know the agency where that plane lands, that's the agency that's going to handle the case.
Oh, see, that's a good question, because if they're midair,
you can't. I mean, people think, "Oh, well, you were over in Nebraska." That's not how it works. It's going to be the agency where the plane landed, unless you were still on the ground, like at where he left from San Francisco, but the plane was in the air.
Yeah.
So it would have been Fort Lauderdale Police Department, whoever handles, because that's where he was landing, right? Yeah, it would have been Fort Lauderdale PD that would have handled it. It would have been in Florida's jurisdiction.
Right. So. All right. So let's try this. We got some cool sound effects now. You ready for this?
No, if it screws up, it's your fault.
It's on me. Yeah.
Let's get ready to rumble.
Probably gonna get a suit. I don't think you can play that, but whatever.
Well, then this is George talking to Mike Tyson, bro. This shit crazy, bro. Mike Tyson.
So just a narration for everybody that has not seen this video yet. The guy is sitting
right behind
Mike.
Well, he's actually behind him in a seat. So he's in the aisle. The guy's in the aisle seat. Tyson's a row up in the window seat, and they're in first class on a JetBlue flight.
Right.
Lit, man.
Hey, listen, I need some sportscasters
and
here.
so,
come on, call us out.
Like, you got the other guy. You got the other guy doing play-by-play. He's sitting across the aisle across,
right?
And he's recording it, giving his little play-by-play. So play it.
Over here rapping with Tyson. Mike Tyson trying to give us some shrooms.
I don't know where the shrooms came from.
I don't know.
Tyson looking out, man. This shit crazy. He should have never gave you money.
Now, let's talk about bad combination. The guy looks like he's tanked already.
Yeah.
And he's got a drink in his hand. I don't know if that's alcohol or what, but he's got something in his hand. So.
Yeah, he's definitely not all there. Whether it's shrooms
Maybe
or
knock some
alcohol.
sense into him. I don't know.
There's something going on there.
Look at his face. I mean, this face is great. Like,
right now in that picture, and obviously if you haven't watched the video, go watch it. His face is pristine. It's not. There's no blood on it. There's nothing. No marks.
He looks happy.
He looks good. Yeah.
Again, Darwin Award. It's first class, so he's talking about peasants.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
And now the video cuts away, and here we go. Ding, ding, ding. Oh, Tyson's.
Hey, Mike, come on.
Hey, Mike, hold on. So what did you see, like three shots
Well,
there?
and in that picture, in that video, it looked like the guy moved and then was right in the seat right behind Tyson. So I don't know if he switched with the guy, but Tyson turns around and just wailing on him.
Could you imagine? You're sitting in your seat, and now you're looking up, and you got Mike Tyson over you, wailing down on you. And I'm sure he's not even hitting him. He obviously didn't hit him.
No, he didn't hit him. But I mean, the guy's just like probably covered up like a turtle. He can't do anything. Play the rest of it.
Can we do like it's a right and another right and another right?
Well, it was the lefts that got him because
where's the ref? I think he dropped his guard.
It's the left hand that got him.
Okay, so the video goes down. Now
it shows a picture of the guy, and so there's all kinds of abrasions and marks to the right side of the guy's head. where Tyson was punching, definitely the left hand got him. I don't know if Tyson had a ring on his left hand or not, but he got him pretty good on the left side of the head, and the guy just looks like defeated, which he should.
Flight.
Look at the face.
Got beat up by Mike Tyson. Turn that way. Yeah, he got up. Trying to ask for an autograph, man. I don't know what happened.
I don't think he was just trying to ask for an autograph.
Yeah, so
All
the guy does, honestly, I don't condone public violence, but, the guy deserved what he got there. And, again, I will give him kudos for not pressing charges, going on with his life. And guess what? He's got a story for the rest of his life. Guess what I did one time on a plane?
Yeah.
So,
one time that Mike Tyson kicked my ass, it's like, did they have any conversation after that?
I'm sure not. I'm sure no.
Maybe they're best friends now. Who knows?
I'm sure not. So I bet you, Mike, though, in a way, and he's done a bunch of interviews. He probably respects the guy a little bit in that he didn't try to I'm going to sue you now, or I'm going to try to press charges. The guy was like, I'll take my ass whooping and go on.
Maybe traumatic brain injury. Who knows?
Well,
TBI.
That guy might have had.
He looked a little.
He might have had a little brain injury before those punches. So that was that one. Again, if you haven't seen it, you can Google it. It's on there. It's pretty funny. But watch the entire video, because the one we just showed after he gets beat up, which is pretty much what the news showed.
Yeah.
The guy cuts back to him after he's got the marks on his head, and he's just kind of pointing to his head like, yeah, I got my butt whooped by Mike Tyson. So it's pretty funny. But so this next
you have
one,
him, autograph your forehead or something, right next to the wound.
He probably would now if he saw him. I don't think he would have then. But this next one has went viral as well, and Beef's going to give a little rundown. But go ahead. Let's
talk about Brendan Langley. All right, and you're going to give us a little bit of information on Brendan. But this is an incident that happened of all places, my hometown airport, Newark, New Jersey. Newark Airport. It's phenomenal.
Most of us say Newark, but I get it. Yeah,
Did I say it wrong?
Newark. Newark. You say it with that little accent. That's okay.
It's the armpit of the world, right? Or the armpit of the United States.
Listen, you're from North Jersey. You can say whatever you want.
Yeah, give me the gabagool. Anyway,
gabagool.
So it happened in May, Newark Airport. This guy Langley, you know me, in sports, I never heard of this guy, but apparently, can't make this stuff up. He's using a wheelchair for his luggage, right? I guess they have those little First of all, his luggage probably have wheels on it. It's not that hard. I don't know.
But just pay the $5 and get a luggage cart.
Come on, yeah. I mean, what's the league minimum in the Canadian Football League? Because apparently he doesn't play in the NFL anymore.
He plays for the Calgary Stampeders. Well, he did last year, 22. So I'm assuming he's still there. But
yeah. So instead of paying the $5 for the card, he's using a wheelchair. This guy from United comes up to him and says, "Hey, you can't do that." Now, this discrepancy is the employee from United was giving him a hard time, maybe calling him some names. That's
the accusation.
That's the accusation. Well, that didn't go too well. So I think it's on a little bit of both sides. It's like, hey, is it the end of the world if he's using a wheelchair? Probably not. And it's also, why be a cheap ass? Just go pay the $5 and get the cart.
And I mean, and if he is using a wheelchair, you're not supposed to. So you understand why the United employee would go up to him and say, "Hey, man, you can't put your luggage on a wheelchair. You got to get a luggage cart." Now, who knows what was said, what was unprofessional by the United employee, who's since been fired, which you probably know that, but no spoiling there.
But so
not fired, and he got his ass kicked too. But we're about to watch the video of that one too.
I think what captures people here is the guy goes back. I mean, we're going to watch it, but the guy doesn't.
Well, he was dazed and confused.
Yeah, but he didn't take his line down.
And the allegation from Langley is that guy swung on him first.
That's the allegation.
But we'll get into it after we watch the video.
Okay, so let's hold on. Let me get this going here. All right, we got it set up, and for everybody else, so we get sued twice.
I'm not getting sued. You're playing it, so
your name's on everything.
No, it's not. I know they have that copy. Is it copyrighted? I don't know. So.
It was on some free thing. Here we go.
Oh,
all right. So we're in.
So now we had a little right hand right there. We saw a little couple rights from Langley to this employee.
Yeah, some hooks. See, the
employee comes back.
The lady moves her luggage out of the way.
Employee comes back, and the employee hasn't landed a shot. No. Langley's giving him about 4 or 5. Now the employee gives him a little left hook, and now Langley comes back with a right cross. He stumbles, and then Langley hits him again with a right cross and knocks the United employee back onto, I believe that's the luggage conveyor belt.
Like, did you see him start going back towards where the
Lucky that lady moved out of the way, because that's right where
she moves all her stuff,
the United employee went down. So
basically, the United employee, when is this kid Langley's looking away, United employee like smacks him in the face, and then he's like, "For real?"
Now it's on.
Now
we're going to play the video again. The employee is down on his keister. He goes
down hard.
Well, and I think he actually hit the conveyor belt and it kind of threw him to the ground. But he goes hard. Now he gets up. He's stumbling. It's definitely a standing 8 count, no doubt.
Right.
Now no one grabs his hands to see if he's okay. But now he's got his senses and he goes back to Langley. Hands are down, which is always bad. You should never have your hands. If you're going to fight with someone, have your hands up. His hands are down. Langley's like, you want more? And now some other employees are coming, trying to get in the middle, and then they're kind of pushing him away, and then they walk away.
There's a little bit of posturing at the end there.
Correct.
And so, who knows?
But so Brendan Langley, I don't know him either. He actually played at the University of Georgia for a year, it looks like, 2013, 2014. Transferred to Lamar, which is an FCS school, a very good FCS school football program in Texas. Was actually drafted by the Denver Broncos in the 3rd round in the 2017 draft. I believe he's the highest drafted player ever from Lamar. And he got some good money. I mean, he got a $706,000 signing bonus, which, again, even though he only played for the Broncos for 17 and 18, so for 1 or 2 seasons, that's his money.
How much?
$706,000 he got signing bonus.
You just get somebody to just carry your luggage around for you then, for God's sakes.
Well, that was in 17. That money could be gone. Who knows? But he was with the Broncos for 17 and 18. In 19, he was on the practice squad of Seattle, and then looks like he was out of football for a couple of years, and then signed with the Calgary Stampeders and played with them this past season in 22, and then this incident just happened. And it's interesting because I think he's a defensive back. He's a corner now, but he also played wide receiver. And you do see that wide receivers will switch to corner. So
with this one, and there's got to be more video. So again, from the law enforcement point of view,
yes,
just because you have one cell phone video doesn't mean that captures the entire.
There's got to be airport video surveillance. There's no doubt to see the incident in its totality from the very beginning.
Yeah. I mean, we wouldn't be doing our job if somebody came up and said, "Here's one cell phone video of it." You wouldn't go look around and make sure there's not another video. And obviously,
well, it's like different. It's like you get a statement from. I can tell you from experience that, and I did assault and battery. So let's say it's a bar. Let's say it's a bar fight, or just a fight in general, and you get 5 statements. I mean, everybody's standing in a different area, different point of view. People see things differently. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So you sort through it all, and then you use and how many times does it happen where you read a statement, right? Mm-hmm. And the person gave you the statement in good faith, and it's what they believed and what they believe they saw. And then you watch the video, and you're like, they were wrong on like 2 or 3 crucial things in their statement. Yeah. That's why it's important to pull all the evidence. So obviously, the police department did this here because the United worker was fired, as we said.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
He has not been charged.
No.
Which tells me if he did swing first, he doesn't even have to land the punch first. If he was the aggressor, right? If he was the aggressor first, he would have been charged. There's no doubt in my mind. He has not been charged. Langley was charged by the PD. Do you have what he was charged with?
He was charged with simple assault of Port Authority, New York, New Jersey. But it's interesting in this case, you've got a break. You understand what I'm saying? There's a break. When the guy falls down and he gets up and he goes back after him, it's like you have to kind of articulate some type of self-defense, I would think. You follow what I'm saying?
Well, after he fell down and he came back up, I don't even want to say to his senses, and he goes to Langley. I don't think they fight after that. I thought it was over with.
He was trying to go back after him.
Correct. But Langley didn't do it. So Langley was totally in the right there. I mean, he already knocked the guy down, knocked him out. He was backing up. So the main video from the law enforcement aspect is what happened initially.
Yeah. What caused
so
it?
You can't go by that one cell phone unless there's video that says, "Oh, that's where it did start."
Sure.
But you gotta, and I'm sure there's more video and there's more statements as well. So,
yep. So that guy lost his job and the other guy got arrested. So good on them.
And I don't know. I didn't see anything from the Canadian Football League.
Yeah, they did. The team put something out saying they're investigating it. The Stampeders are investigating.
Yeah, if they're going to suspend him or whatever. But
it's Canada. There's no violence in Canada.
You just have to.
I had a guy. This is years ago, so I'm sure it's okay to talk about. But basically the same thing. It was when you first talk to the person, they were hospitalized with an injury from a nightclub, from a bar, and you go okay, and then you listen to that person, and it sounds pretty cut and dried. They were getting thrown out, punches were thrown, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
and then you go and you watch the video of the video of the incident from the bar, and sure enough, what that person left out is, I'm sorry, my phone's going off at the same time. What you see is the person that said they in the hospital was the one that threw the first punch.
Yeah.
So now these people are defending themselves, and it's like, yeah, did they, were injuries caused? Yes, but you can't throw a punch at a bouncer. I was like the guy with Tyson. You can't throw a water bottle and expect nothing to happen. So. Yeah. That's part of our job, is figuring that part out.
Usually, I'm retired, so I don't care. I've handled and investigated numerous bar fights, right?
Right.
Usually the person that presses charges, you know what we call him.
The loser.
The loser. Yeah, always. And then, sure enough, when you watch video, almost to a T every time, that person started the incident.
Yeah.
And they got their butt kicked, and then they want to press charges.
They're mad.
And then you look at everything, and you're like, dude, you started this.
Yeah.
You push this guy in the head, or like you push this girl out of the way and tried to get, and actually were the aggressor towards this guy. He defended himself.
Yeah.
And then usually those,
and that's
no charges are filed on
and with
anyone.
The Tyson one, if you read enough, that's what the law enforcement in the state, or district attorney or state, it's here, Florida, right? So it would be a state attorney's office. I
think they asked. I think I read that part. I think it was like they talked to someone in California, since that's where the plane went from. But again, it wouldn't have been their jurisdiction.
But they said part of the decision not to press charges or not to file charges was because obviously the guy said he didn't want to.
Sure.
But his behavior towards Tyson in the beginning too, that had a lot to do with it. You
Absolutely.
Can't provoke somebody and expect nothing to happen.
And if you threw a water bottle at him, you're still
that's a battery in the state of Florida. Yeah.
Correct.
So cool. All right. We're moving.
So we researched something. Let me put my glasses on.
And then
God,
just
50. Go ahead, B. Go ahead.
You were researching, and I was playing around
screwing
with the soundboard.
around with the soundboard. Yeah.
So this is all new for me. So was I supposed to pull up any videos?
There's one on Chase Claypool.
Oh, that's what you told me.
I think you have that one up.
Well, no, I got to do it. Go ahead, talk.
But anyway, there was a bunch of cases where athletes have when athletes attack. But again, not all have been charged. Based on what we just talked about, but there's a couple that you may remember. So in 2016, LaShawn McCoy, Shady McCoy, great running back, had a great NFL career. He retired in 21, was with the Bucs his last season, I believe, in 20. But was with the Eagles, had a great career with the Eagles, and then had signed a $40 million contract with the Buffalo Bills in 15. So in 16, though, he's back in Philly. He's at a lounge in Philadelphia, and this kind of fits with the whole athletes and law enforcement, because there was a bunch. There was a few off-duty cops in there too. So this goes for cops too. It's like, man, when you're off duty and you're drinking, behave yourself.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
Exactly.
Like, you're being held to a higher standard. And as an athlete that just signed a $40 million contract, it's like, what are you doing, right? Because you don't want to get hurt. You don't want to get in trouble. I mean, it's like, can people just, behave? So anyway, McCoy's with some buddies. They're back in Philadelphia, and they end up having a run-in with these off-duty cops. And they obviously, I'm sure, don't know they're off-duty cops. And guess what? It doesn't matter if they're cops or not. They're off-duty, and they're probably acting, not great either. So allegedly an argument between these two parties starts, and I guess it was over like a champagne bottle. Like, I don't know who's going to pay what. It's always over alcohol. It's always something stupid, right?
Right.
But one of the off-duty officers, ended up getting beat up pretty good. Multiple broken bones and lacerations. guys that were with McCoy apparently kicked him when he was on the ground, and that's the one thing. When the guys go to the ground, you always get kicked. I mean, you can get some serious charges for kicking people. We've seen it, because you can cause a lot of damage. Yeah. And there was video of this one. I didn't see it.
Ready?
Well, hold on. No, I'm doing another one, so don't play that one yet. So you're not listening to me. I'm
multitasking.
We're doing LaShawn McCoy. We're not doing Chase Claypool.
I got excited.
Just save your video.
Okay.
So, but guys that were with McCoy, apparently there was video, and then the video also at one point showed McCoy throwing some punches at one of the officers that was knocked down. In the end, obviously, the courts did get involved. A judge ordered LaShawn McCoy to pay $55,000 in restitution to the victim. So what that kind of tells me is it's kind of like a settlement. You know what I mean?
Medical bills, I would think. Or
Correct.
Something like
so $55,000 in restitution. Again, I just said McCoy had signed a $40 million contract with the Bills, so that wasn't an issue. And so I think it was basically pay this restitution, we'll let it go, and the whole thing went bye-bye. And I don't think he got in trouble with the NFL either in this case. So, but again,
in cases like that, I would think. Listen,
I think the other group's at fault too, which happens to be off-duty police officers, and obviously
you could say the same thing. Like, would they get in trouble?
They didn't want to get in trouble too. So, and I guess internal affairs probably isn't going to get involved if it's kind of just this like stupidness. You're at a club, you're all in the wrong. You ended up getting beat up. The one off-duty cop with some broken bones, but. Here's $55,000 restitution, and I'm sure there was pain and suffering in there too. I didn't see it in this report.
What state was this in?
Philly.
Okay.
Right. Philadelphia. So, and I know you're excited. So the next one,
we're good.
Again, bar fight. So, and it happens to be another Philadelphia athlete.
Let me ask you this before you get into it. Do you think that, like we see it with Tyson, right? With this Langley guy, I don't know if the guy knew who he was or not, but do you think that
there's no way the United worker knew who Brandon Langley was.
But it sounds like a lot of these bar fights. Do you think that these people know
the one I just did, there's no doubt they knew LaShawn McCoy because they're in Philadelphia. He was a star for the Eagles. So there's no doubt about that.
Right.
There's no doubt about that.
And that leads to half the problem?
I don't know. I think a lot of times star athletes they tend to hang around with the wrong people.
Yeah.
Okay, and listen, and they're not just a star athlete. I mean, I tell my daughters,
but
be a leader, not a follower. Sure. And sometimes when you get in with the wrong people, and I think with star athletes, they have a lot of money. A lot of times there's some childhood friends that maybe haven't led the best lives, and they just cannot seem to cut those ties. And I'm not saying that's what happened in this case. I'm just speaking in generalizations here. But you see it time and time again. So, you're with a group of people, and there's always the testosterone. There's always the ego. And listen, cops have it as bad as anybody.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm sure there was a lot of that going around, in this particular incident that I just talked about with LaShawn McCoy.
Did you ever deal with? So I used to work a lot of City Walk. Right, City Walk has.
I work some extra duty
off
there.
Duty,
extra duty,
whatever it is. And you recall? I don't know if you remember if you ever experienced this. I'm sure you probably did. Somebody comes in and early in the night. They're sober and they are all nice and they want to talk to you. Oh, this, that, and the other. They're great. And then by the end of the night, security's like, hey, we're having problems with this guy, and you go over there, and sure enough, it's the same guy, and they've turned into like the biggest.
Dealing with drunk
asshole.
People is the worst.
Yeah,
that's why we talked
they're
about
aggressive. They want to fight.
Talked about last week working the downtown detail, and that's an extra duty position too. It's just dealing with drunk people it's miserable. Because when an incident happens and the media says the officer was working off duty, it makes it sound like what I just talked about. These off-duty officers in a club, but that's not. What it is, it's extra duty.
Semantics.
You still have your sworn police powers. You're working as a police officer, but it's extra duty. In the case you just talked about, you're paid by Universal Studios.
Right.
Deputies that work extra duty at Disney World are paid by Disney World. But as soon as you take police action, you are under the
duty,
umbrella
right.
of the law enforcement agency you work for, and you immediately revert to on duty. So, and there's a lot more extra duty in Florida here than up north and others. So you got to kind of explain that to people. But this other one, so there was a pitcher for had a great career for the Philadelphia Phillies, and he's pitched elsewhere as well. But Cole Hamels, back when his career was just starting, it was 2005. So he was in the minors. So I believe it was a year before he ended up going to the majors and having a great career. But he was in, and I believe this one report that I'm reading, it just wasn't the best because it talks about a Philadelphia bar fight because he ended up playing for the Phillies for a long time. But I believe this incident happened in Clearwater because he played in the minors in Florida, and he just ends up getting into a fight with a local in a bar. And this is the other thing that happens to you when you're a pro athlete. He's a pitcher, right? Cole Hamels. He breaks his hand in this fight.
That's not good.
So he misses the entire next season, almost the entire season of his minor league season. The next year, he ends up being good. He gets called up, and he goes on, as I said, has a great Major League Baseball career. But, I mean, that's another thing. Like, you're a pitcher besides. You're throwing a punch with your throwing hand. Like, what are you doing? You end up breaking your hand. It's just, and again, it's alcohol that gets involved. So yeah, that one kind of stuck out to me as well.
You have that kind of money. Well, I don't know. He's in the minor leagues, but it's almost like.
But he had signed. Believe me, he had signed a major league contract, so he had a lot of money. That's normal. You start in the minors and work your way up. Only a year or two.
Build a bar in your house or go somewhere where it's like you gotta pay to go to the VIP room or something like that. Where there's even there, I guess you can have problems. It just seems, it's not good. Not good.
And again, when you're drinking, not only the testosterone and the egos, your decision making is just gone. You know what I mean? So
I make better decisions when I drink, I think.
Well, you might be one of those people.
Yeah, I get smarter. Smart juice.
Okay, finally we can get to the one where you can play your video. So Chase Claypool is a wide receiver with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he's had issues in practice with players. I know he fought with Minka Fitzpatrick, and he's had some maturity issues, decision-making, getting some bad penalties. So in 2021...
And wait, that's without alcohol.
Correct. So in 2021, he was on vacation in Costa Mesa, and this was right after his rookie season was really good. And there was an incident that occurred outside of a bar, and so we're going to play the video, but it's just, to me, when I watch the video, it's just a lot of drunk people acting stupid, pushing each other. There was no haymakers or whatever, but Claypool's in the middle of it, and allegedly it looked like he might have tried to kick someone. I didn't see him connect.
And this guy was an NFL player?
He's an NFL player, still is, and he's very good.
Who's he play for?
The Steelers.
Okay. What position?
He's a wide receiver.
Okay.
So allegedly this incident happened because someone in his group, again, talk about being
the entourage.
The entourage threw dollar bills at some women outside the bar, and then some other people that they were with took offense to it. Allegedly, is what happened.
Connotation to that.
So then it was just a big melee. No one got arrested in this case. I think the police did look at it, but it was one of these kind of mutual. Everyone kind of pushing each other. I'm pretty sure the NFL looked into it. I know the NFL looked into it, but nothing happened as far as I researched to Claypool. Again, when you watch this video, it's a bunch of nothing really happened. But again, Claypool can't put yourself in these situations. So here we go.
Let's see.
And there is
bad language. Somebody's on the ground.
There's a couple people on the ground.
All right, so he's standing up in the back.
Yeah. And right there, he's just picking someone up. And in the article, the report that I read says he did not start it. He wasn't the one throwing dollar bills.
There's a female there's some females fighting too, I think.
Well, there's a lot of people that got pushed. And see, right there was a guy on the ground, and it looked like Claypool,
tried to kick
him almost. Step on him almost and missed him. But
he was backing up. In all fairness, he was backing up.
It's just about 15 drunk people.
All the stanchions.
15 drunk people, just all no one got hurt. No one, but still, you you don't want to put yourself in those situations. And it's always the same. We talked about it's always alcohol around. It's always after a club. It's always testosterone. Now, sure, someone was immature throwing money at a person, and that person's an idiot if that's how it started.
Yeah.
You know, but it's always the same way to me. And if I'm a high draft pick, right, and I have a good, I'm making a good living, it's like, why do you even you have to have the maturity to walk away from those situations. Really, you have to surround yourself with good people, number one,
right,
that know you can't get in anything like that, right? I mean, because, you've been in situations where you're drinking, and I'm not that person. I'm a real happy, and I don't drink anymore, but when I did, I'm a happy person, right? I love anyone. Occasionally, but I really don't.
I bought you a bottle of bourbon for your birthday. I wish I knew that.
I should go on eBay. Can you sell alcohol on eBay?
Well, just give it back to me.
Oh my
I'll
God,
let you know
I
how
have
good
so
it is.
much bourbon in there. I'll have it again eventually. It's a lot going on right now. So, the working out. I wasn't going to drink alcohol. You got to be committed, Beef. What is wrong with you?
There's no calories in that.
Beef.
What?
It's the alcohol it's sugar. It'll turn to fat. Okay, so I'm in the middle of a workout. I told you, coffee and water. Leave me alone right now. So I'll drink the bourbon eventually. Right. Now I lost my train of thought. So we all have friends that we've gone out in college or even today where you have some drinks and you're leaving, and they want to say something stupid to somebody. We all have those friends, right? Yeah. And then inevitably that group that they said something to, they have the friend like that friend.
Yep.
And then they say something back.
Yep.
And then pushing and shoving. It's like, what are you doing? Like, grow up. No. And so that's, a lot of these incidents with these players. It's like, what are you doing? Just stupid.
I think you're taking a lot of these guys are younger guys. A lot of times it's, Tyson's different. Tyson's the outlier on this one. But these last ones that you're going over, they're younger guys. They're given a lot of money at one time. And I don't know, I would probably lose my head a little bit too if you gave me all that money when I was that young and go out there and probably make some bad decisions. You know what I mean? So you get it, but you wish somebody would take them under their wing and say, hey, listen, you know what? Why don't we get a limo or get a driver and just chill? Exactly. Just go somewhere and chill and just enjoy the fruits of your labor. You've worked hard to get where you're at, and one bad decision is going to ruin it.
Well, and a lot of times, like if you go to a club, you mentioned it, you can there's a VIP section that you can get into. They will obviously let you go out a back door, but a lot of these things, it's ego, right? I need to be seen.
You want to be seen.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And a lot of times it's in a lot of these that I research, it's not the athlete.
It's somebody who's with them. That
started the issue, and then the athlete, their ego kicks in on one of my boys, and so they jump in too. But that's, that was that issue with Chase Claypool. Not much there, but there's been some issues with his maturity that that the Steelers have talked about.
Maybe this could be a PSA for all the young athletes out there.
Listen, when you're sober, you're thinking right, and everything seems to go good.
Not all the time,
but the one common denominator for sure is alcohol. So this next one,
we got more.
Yeah, got two more.
All right,
two more. So and the last one we'll do, it's full circle back to the Brendan Langley airport fight. So. But Patrick Kane was a hockey player, and he's still playing. I actually didn't know. I mean,
a hockey player got into a fight.
Yeah, well, there's actually a bunch of hockey ones in here.
Get out!
I just picked this one out, but he was still with the Chicago Blackhawks this past season, I believe. If I'm researching it right, so still going. But so this was in 2009.
Okay.
He was with the Blackhawks. He owns a house in Buffalo.
Okay.
On the lake. So I'm going to read this from a report verbatim. So on August 9th, 2009, Patrick Kane and his cousin, James Kane, were arrested in Buffalo. According to the police report, Kane was apprehended around 5 a.m., after allegedly punching cab driver Jan Radecki when he claimed to not have proper change for their trip fare. So
Jan's a guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it already tells me if they apprehended him at 5 a.m., this happened around 3 a.m., which means he was getting in the cab from a club, which is good, right?
Yep.
cab or, in 09, actually 09, there wasn't Uber, there wasn't ride shares back then. So he takes a cab, which is great. Obviously, this tells me, although this report doesn't say it, there's alcohol involved. There's no doubt about it. Because when I read this next part, what they punched this guy for, okay? So I said, was apprehended around 5 a.m. after allegedly punching the cab driver, Jan Radecki, when he claimed to not have proper change for their trip fare. So the cab driver says, I don't have the proper change. So here's what it is. It's hilarious. So Kane and his cousin's cab fare came out to $14.80.
Oh, geez.
They gave him $15. He didn't have 20 cents to give him. I swear to God. That's how you know alcohol was involved.
Oh, yeah.
And apparently after some statements they've given or their lawyers have given, they basically said, they came out and said it wasn't the 20 cents, it was the principle of it. It's like, come on.
Of course.
Okay, so Kane, and so there was criminal charges here.
Right.
Okay, so Kane was charged, Patrick Kane was charged with second-degree robbery, fourth-degree criminal mischief, and theft of services, which tells me he took the money back. They took the money back. That's exactly what it was.
For God's sakes.
We would have charged the same thing.
He snatched the money out of his.
So
in Florida, it's robbery by sudden snatching.
Correct,
Yeah,
but we would have charged very similar here. He pleaded not guilty, okay? And then on August 17th, so very a week later,
right.
Kane apologized for the distress he caused, saying he had been, and I quote, at the wrong place at the wrong time. I don't know, in his apology, he mentioned his family, the Chicago Blackhawks, so that's who he played for at the time, right. And the fan base. He never mentioned the cab driver. Yeah. So...
Because he's still pissed at the cab driver. That's why.
Yeah, so Patrick Kane and his cousin appeared before a grand jury on August 19th, 2 days later. So, I mean, they moved that pretty quick.
Well, that might be something where, for us, grand jury is something very serious. For them, it just might be initial appearance in front
Correct.
of the
So,
grand jury.
yeah,
Something
and again,
I could be very wrong, but...
they were ultimately cleared by the grand jury, which I totally understand.
So I guess they rushed it, yeah.
Of the felony charges.
Right.
Okay, which
it's not a robbery.
Correct. Of the felony charges, they were both still indicted on lesser charges, lesser misdemeanor charges of assault, theft, and harassment. So that all makes sense. I totally get that.
Did he punch him in the face?
I believe so. I'm not 100% sure, but
So what we do know is he gave him the money. They didn't have the 20. He didn't have the 20 cents, and they snatched the money back and ran away.
That's what I believe, and punched him. I believe they
did punch him.
Yeah, no, they punched him. I'm not sure where, but I could.
So don't you think the better thing there is charge him with the battery and?
Well, they did misdemeanor assault, which in New York's bad.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but why charge him with the robbery in the first place?
Because what do you do? What do officers do when they get to the scene? You overcharge a lot of times. Now, I don't want to say overcharge. You charge everything you can, knowing we've done it. You charge everything you can, knowing that the state attorney they're gonna drop it off. There's nothing wrong with it. People are like, oh, it's a jackass move. No, it's not. If you can charge robbery, you charge it. Listen, we deal with it all the time when people shoplift.
Yeah,
I'll give you an example here in Orlando. I dealt with this case all the time as a robbery detective. People shoplift. Okay, as they're running out of the store, an employee tries to stop them. They push the employee. So they physically push the employee and leave.
Which is now force.
Okay, that is, it was just theft. They were just getting away. Okay, they were just.
Well, hold on. It's never just theft, but that's that lower charge than the robbery.
So you have some detectives that'll say, nope, that was robbery. Let me back up and let me give you an example. Okay, someone steals. Let's say you're at a
widget.
Whatever, you're a widget, and you're running out of the store. The employee puts themselves between you and the exit. You don't go at the employee. Mm-hmm. In doing so, you break through the tackle of the employee trying to stop you, but the employee falls to the ground. So you basically hit through the employee.
Right.
Okay, your thought process as the bad guy was just to get away. But there's detectives that'll see that on video and say, well, you ended up running through them. They tried to stop you, so they're going to charge with robbery. But then we also have a statute of resisting a merchant, which fits that better.
Yep.
But you'll have some state attorneys now that'll say, well, that I'm not even going to charge that because they were just trying to get away, so I'm just going to charge the theft.
Right.
Okay, so that's the point I'm getting at. As a detective, I would charge many times you would charge everything, knowing that the state attorney is going to drop it down anyway. And in this case, the grand jury through the state attorney or district attorney. So that's all I'm saying. So hopefully I didn't confuse everyone listening. But we'll get back to this case. So,
sorry.
That's okay. So, as I said, Kane and his cousin appeared for the grand jury on August 19th. They were cleared of the felony charges. However, they were indicted on misdemeanor charges, assault, theft, and harassment charges. Kane and his cousin, it says, reiterated their not guilty pleas when appearing in court the next day. So then they went, after the grand jury indicted them, they went to court the next day, and they still pled not guilty. And then ultimately a week later, I'm just looking at this, ultimately another week later, August 27th, Kane and his cousin ultimately did plead guilty. Okay, but they pled him down.
Paid it back.
They pled him down to disorderly conduct, and were both given conditional discharges. So basically, if you stay out of trouble for a year,
it's like pretrial diversion.
Correct. And the judge did order them to apologize to the cab driver. So
did they have to give him the money too?
I'm assuming, it doesn't say it in this report. I'm sure he had to give the cab.
What was it? $15?
$15.
I would have given it to all dimes. There you go. Now you got enough dimes. 20 cents.
So yeah. So that was. I thought you'd get a kick out of that one.
I like that one.
So the last one, I said we were going to go full circle.
Oh boy.
So anyone that's a football fan knows Adam Pac-Man Jones. Okay, he was an incredible. Played his college ball at West Virginia in the early 2000s, 2002 to 2004. Was a great defensive back. He was drafted in 2005, first round. He was a 6th pick overall, really high to the Tennessee Titans. But if you know Adam Pac-Man Jones, just his career, personal life, just riddled with problems. I mean, he's been arrested and just. He's been involved with a lot of incidents. Okay, he's been suspended from the NFL, and just so a lot of things have gone on. I mean, I can take a look here.
Why do they call him Pac-Man?
His mom gave him that nickname. I'd have to look it up. Okay. I just know his mom gave him that nickname. I could probably look it up while you asked.
Do you want me to talk?
Why don't you talk?
I don't really know what to say.
I don't know. Say anything. Say I do this show and I have no idea who Pac-Man Jones is.
Yeah. Well, listen, I am a professional rookie, and you are my mentor when it comes to football stuff. So, I know people listen and go, "What the hell does he do?" Well, I don't watch football that much. I guess that's the problem. And again, my college didn't even have a football team, so there you go. Seton Hall. Undefeated since 1972.
Yeah, I can't find it, so just look it up. But I know his mom.
You want me to keep talking?
No, you can stop talking. So he had a long career, and I get if you can look up his legal issues. He was involved in the Las Vegas shooting when the NBA All-Star Game was out there in 2007.
That's
so again, he was at a local strip club, and there was an altercation. So again, with your group of people, stuff happens. But this case. And I just found it. His mother gave him the nickname Pac-Man when he was a child, saying that he would change direction as fast as a video game character. So there you go.
Okay.
Now you know. But this particular case happened in 2018, so not that long ago. And I don't think there's a video of it, but he was actually attacked by an airport employee in Atlanta, in Hartsfield Airport.
Was it the same guy from Newark?
It was not. And I don't know what the incident was over. I researched a couple different things, but I thought it was funny because it was an airport and he got attacked and he defended himself, but he was not charged.
Right.
The airport worker was charged. And he shoved, the airport worker shoved Jones and took a punch at him. And I think Pac-Man, took care of business, which again, he's defending himself, so he can.
Went Tyson on
him. And so the airport worker was charged in that case. Pac-Man Jones was not charged in that case, but I just thought it was kind of full circle since the Brendan Langley one was in the.
So he didn't attack.
No, he didn't attack.
He was attacked.
Well, he attacked after he was attacked. So, but yeah, that was it. There's a ton of cases out there. Where
kind of worked the law enforcement angle in today for everybody.
Yeah, Beef wants to get back more to some more.
Whoa. I think our audience
true crime, some more true crime. Well, again, football season's rapidly approaching, so I'm going to probably the surveys, and you mentioned a survey earlier. The surveys on Twitter actually get a pretty good response. So I'll probably put a survey out on Twitter about once football season starts. I'm thinking, and I mentioned this, I don't know if it was last week, a couple shows ago. I'm thinking of, the game I do or the game I'm doing. So I will preview the game I'm doing and talk about, where I'm going and preview the game and maybe the town or whatever's cool about those programs. And then the next week when the game's over and we do the new show, I will review my week, what happened in the game. Did I do anything interesting on the road? Stuff like that. And then we'll also preview the next game and we'll just kind of get that cycle going. And then we'll throw in some law enforcement stuff as well. So I'm going to give that a little Twitter poll and see.
I'd like to get a little bit more audience participation, and I think one of the and we don't have to do like surveys, but I think maybe some comments. We have that Twitter feed. We do. Was it? I don't even remember. Was it?
I don't know. Be careful what you ask for, though. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, I was just going to say I think we should have comments. Comment on our Twitter. Should Rini put his shirt back on? I think we'll see what kind of interaction.
Listen, I clearly was disgusting in the before picture. I look at myself. I have a brother. I'm the youngest of 5, and I have an older brother. I'm 50. Brother Chuck, I don't even know how old brother. I think he's 58. Mm-hmm. And someone goes, "Oh my God, you look like your brother in the one picture." So I go, "Please don't say that."
Well, the second part of that question should be: should you put your shirt back on? And does anybody want me to take my shirt off?
They would definitely want you to do a before and after. But right now, you can only do the before. You got to get to the after point. So. I'm gonna
get that sculpting
just because of all the ball busting I did or I took.
Right.
Like I said, I'm starting a new workout today. It's a lifting regimen. Lifting workout. It's 8 weeks. Mm-hmm. So might have to do a little before and after. See again. Huh?
Hey, we didn't get an update on your dad.
So my dad is out of the hospital. I think I mentioned that last time.
Yes.
Pacemaker's in. I went there yesterday.
I heard he was a little cranky.
Miserable.
When you're that age, you're allowed to be.
And he wants to argue about everything.
Not miserable, but cranky.
He wants to argue about everything. He just doesn't feel good. I said, Dad, you're not going to feel good. You had triple bypass, open heart surgery. You had a pacemaker put in. And to boot, he has really bad sinus issues.
Oh, that's
really bad. So there's this procedure they go in and they can actually open the sinuses up. Right. So they want to do that for him, but they don't want to do it now because he just got done with triple bypass. So
break your nose to do that?
No, they just go. It's what's the word I want? They scope it. Yeah, they go in with scopes now. But he's just miserable. I talked to him this morning. I talk to him every day. Listen, I give him a pass to be cranky. But you couldn't, because I went to my mom's. We call it, so we're Italian. You call it gravy.
Yeah.
We call it sauce.
Gravy.
And it just depends. So we've Sunday sauce.
Yeah.
So I went there and my mom. The one thing I'll brag about my mom, and so my parents owned restaurants when I was growing up.
Yeah.
I know my mom makes the best meatballs.
She does.
And she all different meats in there and the breadcrumbs. And so, I went there, had a little sauce yesterday, some sausage and some meatballs. And then, Dad was cranky. But he's doing good, though. And he's got 2 doctor's appointments today, so I'll call him later. And he's got oxygen. And I always said they should have sent him with oxygen. I told him, I think it calms him more than anything. It's just he's got the one that goes in his nose, and I just think it calms him.
You have to carry it around with him and everything?
It's got a little one. He doesn't need to carry it around. He just, if he gets up and he walks outside or he tries to walk down the street a little bit and comes back, he still says he sometimes gets shortness of breath.
Yeah.
So then he sits on his couch and he just puts it in, and I think it relaxes him.
You don't feel that shortness. Sometimes that shortness of breath can scare you, and you feel like
that, and it does. I think it
scares
him more than anything. But he said he slept really well last night. But the reason he's not sleeping is because of the sinus issues. He gets really congested and he can't breathe. So he's trying to get his breath in after the heart surgery, and now he's dealing with sinus issues. But so your prayers worked for those of you that prayed. Really, thank you very much. So, but thanks for asking, Beef. Doing good.
Gotcha. All right.
So we have no idea what we're gonna do next week. I've been so busy personally with stuff going on, and so we'll come.
No ghost next week.
And we're not doing the ghost next week. No. I think I mentioned this before. I think I should make a command decision.
Yeah.
I think we should do Deshaun Watson because there's a lot going on. 2 more women have come out and sued him, so now he's up to 24. And his lawyer, Rusty Hardin, who's a famous lawyer in Texas, who he represented Roger Clemens and the whole steroid thing. So I think, and he made some comments this week that were just on the radio this morning about when you go to a massage and
what's it like? It's implied.
In it, there's a thing at the end that ends with an ending, and he talked about that. How he said it's not illegal unless you specifically pay for that. So I want to get into it because,
is that like saying if you hire an escort? And
well,
you don't
here's
talk
the
about
thing, and
having
I
sex,
think I think from the leaked testimony from the grand jury, I think that's why he was not criminally indicted.
Okay,
because I think although 24 masseuses. What do they call? I don't even know. But I think the 24 of them are saying
masseuses.
They felt like they had to do that. So that's why they're suing.
Oh, well,
listen, that they're saying that's why they're suing civilly. But I think the jury said, well, criminally, that he didn't pay extra for that. So so maybe we got to get into that, and we got to bring Rick Salcido on, who's a longtime sex crimes detective that we've known forever.
Normally I have to pay extra for that, Cotton.
And I would like to research it and ask Rick about that. So I think that's what we should do next week because there's a lot going on. So, yeah.
Is there any of the depositions on YouTube?
It's probably out there somewhere.
We'll have to find it.
Probably the transcribed. I don't think you have the audio. So although, again, he was cleared criminally, you're talking about 24 separate civil lawsuits. That's 24 different depositions, 24 different juries, a lot going on there. So I'd like to look into that.
It should be a class action lawsuit, for God's sake. Do you think that...
Well, I don't think they want to. I think they want to go individually. I think it's because the lawyer made a comment that he goes, individually, if we take these cases one by one individually, we can win every one. That's what he said. But he goes, when you look at the totality of 22 cases, that's what is weighing everything down. There's a lot going on because the guy's trying to play he didn't play last season because of it. Now he's with the Browns. Well, if you got 24 separate lawsuits, I mean, that's nuts, right?
Yeah.
One lawsuit with depositions, it's nuts. Now you got 24. So the Browns have a headache on their hands, and he's got a headache on their hands no matter what. So
yeah, well, that'll be interesting.
So I think we should research that and then bring Rick on. So I think that'll be good.
Okay, so everybody got to listen to our deliberations about our show next week.
How it works. So
sweet.
Well, thanks for listening once again to another episode of Professional Rookies. Hope you got some enjoyment out of it.
Yeah, give us a 5-star rating if you can.
That's right, I forgot to do that.
I got you, buddy. That's what I'm here for. And
we need them.
And we will talk to you next week.
See ya.
Have a good week, everybody.